Welcome to YOUCANIC. In this video we're going to show you how to replace the clock spring on a Toyota. Here we have a 2012 Toyota Camry, and this procedure though it's going to be similar for other models. The airbag, of course, steering wheel is going to change a little bit, but you'll be able to replace it on other Toyota models as well once you watch this video. So the first thing you need to do is drive the vehicle and have the wheels pointing straight, steering wheel in center, and then go open the hood, disconnect the negative battery terminal and leave that disconnected. Come here, press the horn a couple of times, and that discharges any residual current that might be on electrical system. Wait 5 minutes before you proceed to the next step. So you want to wait and make sure that the current is completely discharged from the vehicle. The reason why is because the airbags, if you leave the battery connected or there's current in the system, they might deploy while you're working on them, and that can cause injuries and death. So keep that in mind. Once you disconnect the battery and wait 5 minutes, then you come here and you're gonna need to remove this airbag. And the reason how you do it is on the sides here you're gonna have covers or holes. In this case we have covers. This covers this on the left side, and this one is right here by the cruise control. This pops off as well. And then there is a couple of springs that you're gonna need to release. I have this released already, so I'm gonna show you where the springs are. So you have this spring right here. What you need to do is just pop this up a little bit. You're gonna see the airbag should pop out from the bottom. You have this spring right here, releases this right there. You're gonna push that in like so. You can see that spring moving. Then you're going to come on this side. You don't have a lower one on this side. All you have is this top one. And so you press that like so. And that will release the airbag. Just make sure that you hold it and it doesn't just hang on these wires. Next, you can disconnect the horn wire. You have to press here though and release that. You need to pop out these center pieces here, like we have here. Use a plastic tool though. And then once you pop out the center pieces, you can disconnect the airbag and put that off to the side. Next, you're gonna unplug these electrical wires from here. You have to press this clip on top here and then pull them out like so. And then after that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a 19mm socket extension, hold the steering wheel, break this nut loose. Then you want to go ahead and remove that. We'll get that. But what you want to do is you want to mark this right here. Put the marker, make a line there and there. Okay, you have a 12 here and here, and then another one at 3 at 3. So when you put the steering wheel, you put it in the exact location. Okay, so then you pull this off. Alright. And put that steering wheel off to the side. Alright, so get a Phillips screwdriver. And then remove these two screws right here. I'll put that right there. Now you might want to check at the bottom. A lot of times there's going to be a screw going straight up here. The steering column adjustment, sometimes the screw is hidden behind that, so check that as well. But once you do that, this lower piece comes off. Oops. And then so does this upper piece. And that exposes the clock spring. I'll be careful to not turn this clock spring around. The clock spring is going to have clips on the side here. This one needs to be released. Okay, then you have one up here on top that needs to be released. I'll show in just a minute. And then you have these connectors here. The way that these come out, you have to press on that and then pull. And then you have to press on this one and then pull again. Alright, so you see the clips here that lock this in place. You have this up on top. Now when you take the clock spring The clock spring can be a little bit tricky to install. If it's new, the clock spring is going to be on center, so meaning it has room to rotate the steering wheel to the left a couple of times and to the right, and vice versa. If it comes from a vehicle that has been wrecked, the clock spring will still work. The only downside and the problem with the used clock spring is that, let's say the vehicle was at a right turn, and then the wheels were turned to the right, and that moment he got hit. So this clock spring is going to be turned one time or maybe even two times, and then it's taken from the donor vehicle and it's put in back in here. Well, right now the clock spring is already turned twice to the right, and if you put this in, your wheel is pointing straight, and when you turn right, they're going to need to turn a couple more times. And what that does is, there's a ribbon inside here. There's not going to be room for that ribbon to stretch and go two more turns, and what happens, it just breaks. And then soon right after you install that clock spring, if you're installing a used one, you end up with an airbag light or sometimes traction control light and things like that come on. So that's the downside of installing a used clock spring, but you can get a new one, and that should normally come on center, and you just make sure that your wheels are pointing straight before you take any of this off. Installing it is pretty straightforward. You just press this in until it locks, and then you connect these cables here, and you have this cable here. One thing to keep in mind on this cable is this is the airbag connector, so it's going to have a couple of clips that you need to press. First you got to press that, and then you pull down on this whole piece for it, otherwise you won't be able to unlock it. And that's just because it's the airbag connectors, and they usually have two security clips. So that's just keeping that in mind. But to connect it, you just press it in. Same thing with these other connectors. Alright, and then you'd put this back together, you line this up, put the screw back in. You would put the steering wheel back, and you want to make sure you match this with the marks that we did on the steering wheel. Otherwise, what's going to happen is if you put it off a little bit, you'd be driving down the road, but the steering wheel would be off. So keep that in mind. When you reinstall the nut, you make sure you want to, this does not have any thread locker on there, but we'll highly recommend to install some, to put a little bit of thread locker on it, and then torque this to spec. That's very important. You don't want that to come off loose while you're driving. You're gonna lose control. Put everything back together. The airbag, just get that reconnected. Make sure that these are press these in first, and then push the center in to lock them. They only go, orange goes on orange, and then black goes on black on the back of the airbag. You can switch them, and you got the horn wire to connect as well. And the airbag, then you just push it on, and that's how it's going to lock in place. I'm going to do those really quick just to show you for demonstration. We do that. Because we have to do more videos on this vehicle on how to replace the turn signal and the wiper switch over there. I'm not going to tighten everything, but I will be putting everything back together so you get an idea of the procedure. So alright, so that went through. Okay. Alright, so here's where we want to match those lines. Okay. Alright. Here on this, you're gonna use some thread locker on it, Loctite or something of that nature. And then you do want to torque this to spec. See your guide if you want to know this typical torque specs on that. You press this in. If you just press this in, they'll just gonna lock. And then you take the airbag, and then you reconnect the horn. This wire right here is what makes your horn work. If you connect everything and a horn doesn't work, you probably left that disconnected. press this in. And then you press the center piece to lock it. Airbag wires are always going to have two type of security locks, and this same thing, you press that and lock it. And then you take this and you push that in, and that's what's going to lock it down here on those springs that we released earlier. And these plastic pieces, you just line them up and you just press them in and they stay in there. But that's it. That's how you replace the clock spring on a Toyota. Thank you for watching.